Casual Temple podcast, and you're listening to episode number 3, and I am your host, Marilee Duffy. My mission with the Casual Temple podcast is to introduce the world to the variety of ways you can develop a relationship with spirit. We will hear from everyday people about their magical practices, psychic phenomenon, energy healing, as well as hear about their amazing, mystical, and paranormal experiences. This week, my guest is José Alicea, who joins the podcast to talk about his spiritual journey, as well as his experiences with the non-physical world. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
So I guess, José, we'll just kind of start from the beginning, wherever you feel like you want to share about either your earliest memory of your spiritual experience or something that was kind of pivotal that you remember and would like to share.
Awesome. Oh, I'm so excited. I have a lot of stories to tell about my spiritual experiences and all the non-physical. But the earliest, which is to this day, I think still the most magical, but also the most subtle and the more heartwarming one was back when I was about 5 to 6 years old, and I was in my bed. After my mom put on the blankets on me, she did a prayer, she left the room, and I guess about 30 minutes, I was scared about the dark, by the way. So it would take me always about 30 to 60 minutes while I would fall asleep after that. So while I was falling asleep, I see this orb just floating somewhere close to the door of my room, and it was a beautiful, gentle indigo bluish color, and it was just floating just above, closer to the door of my room. And I was always scared of the dark. And what makes this so spiritual is that when I see this orb, I just sense so much peacefulness in my heart. And all that came to my brain, I was just a kid, was, oh, that's my guardian angel. And I remember smiling just like a very subtle smile, just a kid, and I just went back to my bed, and then I fall asleep. And I remember waking up the next day, and I go over to my mom, and the very first thing that I tell her is, "Hey, mom, I asked her for the blessings. In I'm Puerto Rican, and we do always greet, your family, asking them for the blessings. So you would say like, hi, bendición, and that's asking them for the blessings. So I asked her for the blessings first, and then I'm like, oh, this is what happened last night. And I tell her about the blue orb floating above close to my door. And I had not tell her what that meant for me and what I thought it was. I just told her what happened, and she quickly went and said, oh, your guardian angel visited you last night. And that for me was just double confirmation about my guardian angel, because while it was happening, I was in awe, and all I thought was, oh, that was my guardian angel. And then when I tell my mom, she also shares the same back. She's like, oh, that was your guardian angel. So to me, that's been the one that's the earliest, I would say, because when you're a kid, you do not have, I guess, so much vocabulary to kind of label things. So you just feel and sense and see things and hear them. And I remember being so afraid of the dark. But this specific night, even though there was a very unusual like event happening in the room, like an orb floating, like, like what the heck? And I just did not get scared. So I took it as that was my guardian angel. So that's been the earliest memory.
Oh, that's cool. That's it's so interesting that your mom was like immediately aligned with like what you had seen and felt that it was. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think is, I would say, so in what, so my mom would do 2 prayers for me before going to bed. And we are not a family of super, being like super religious or super Catholic. That's the religion that I grew up in. But we will always believe, about there's a greater power, there's God, and that prayer is a powerful tool. So she will pray do like a general prayer for me to fall asleep and wake up the next day, because I would always go to bed thinking that I wouldn't wake up the next day for some reason. And then she would do the second prayer, which was specifically for the guardian angel. So I guess the guardian angel, vocabulary and concept was there already because of all these prayers. But that has been the only time where this specific event happened, and that's what came to our minds. Yeah, but I was shocked that she thought into it like real quick.
Cool. So your guardian angel, did you ever sense or feel them nearby again, or or are you always kind of feeling them nearby in your life?
So growing up, that's a really good question, because growing up, I wouldn't say exactly that I will feel this guardian angel around, but I did have the knowing that he was around. I did know that he was around protecting me, and back then, because again, because of the religious practices, I will also call in the Holy Spirit. And to me, that's just what it was, just spirit. And all that I had was a knowing that they were around, and that I was intuitive. But other than that, no, in a way that I'm aware now. And right now, I could say, oh, my guardian angel is around, or I can say my guides are around, because of how developed I feel that my skills are in regards to this, that I can sense. I have certain signs and certain symbols to when they show up. But back then, no, it was just annoying.
Okay, cool. Um, so kind of on that, seems like your mom, at least you had your mom to kind of go to, it sounds like, as somebody who um could either support what you were experiencing, or at least give you some, I guess, words, since if you're a child, you maybe didn't know what was going on. But would you say she was one of your role models in that respect, of like somebody who could kind of help you with the spiritual experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's a perfect segue. To be honest, my mom always, not only because of her praying for me, but she will allow me just to say all of these things, and she will never correct me or tell me, "Oh, are you crazy?" or "You are making it up," or she was very much aware of I believe, probably not only my intuition, but about her own intuition, because it wasn't until I grew up, more, probably around close to finishing elementary school. I think that's when she started to open up to me about her own experiences and how intuitive she is, which I somehow knew. But I would say that she was one of those role models, as to, I wouldn't say that I have been following her path, but that she allowed me to follow my own path. So indeed, she was one of those role models. And aside from her, I would say I used to volunteer to go to church. Like, I will ask my grandma or my aunt, "Oh, are you going to church today?" Just because I wanted to go to church. It's kind of weird, because most kids, you will hear about their family forcing them to go to church. But back then, my inner compass had me just feeling this pull to church. So I always pray, and I always saw Jesus as one of the energy masters, same as with Buddha, and same as all these other ascended masters. And the same for Mother Teresa. Like, I would read her book, I would know about them, and I was such a curious kid that I would just ask questions to people in church about their own experiences. And what's very interesting is that people that are listening, they might be, "Oh my God, like Christian, like Catholic, and like going to church." And then, but also you had a chance to develop, or your psychic side. And I believe it's because I never label church, God, or religious. with anything negative or anything that would create a limitation to my belief or to my experiences. Like in my brain, there would never, like it never made sense, or I never felt as if that was a constrictor or a constraint to my own journey. So some of my role models definitely fall into the Catholic Church, and then my mom. Yeah.
Cool. Would you, yeah, that's interesting about like the church aspect of it. Like I'll just say for me, I was baptized Catholic, but it was one of those like, what do they call it? Like or not even like more like Christmas Catholic. Like we were kind of not
Mm,
go all the time.
mm,
Um, but uh, but I think that exposure was kind of at least helpful, right? Because it's sort of believing in something you can't really touch with your hands, you know? So I think that was something that was very crucial, at least in my development as well. Um,
yeah.
would you say beyond sort of the church and then sort of the people around you, which are really wonderful role models to have, was there like a particular, I know you said you were reading like uh books with about some of the saints or anything like that. Is there maybe like even now, is there somebody that you look at that is like a modern, I guess, modern role model, or I don't even know if role model is the right word, like a spiritual
Mm.
leader that you kind of gravitate toward or respect?
That is a really good question, because I think now, which is good, by the way, don't get me wrong, but I feel that now this movement, and I'm calling it a movement because there are so many different disciplines, so many different practices, and so many people that consider themselves spiritual. But at the same time, it's hard, I feel, to just pin down that one person that I would say just look up to this person, and you have it all clear, and you have it like you will understand everything, and you will be sure that you won't be biased towards anything. However, if I were to name a few, I would say one of them is Esther Hicks and Abraham Hicks. I do listen a lot to a lot of her interviews, a lot of her events that you can pretty much find them all on YouTube. And she speaks about putting yourself in receiving mode and manifestation and creating your own, the life of your dream, and guiding yourself based on that inner compass and your feelings. And she does that through channeling these spirits that she calls Abraham. Um, and then another one would be Louise Hay. She's also very much similar to Abraham Hicks. And I like to listen to her every other day, only because of it's kind of a reminder of our own power in and how much control we have with our life. Um, but spiritual leader, it's that's a really, yeah, that's a big question. To be honest, I've never been a fan of favorites. I've never been a fan of being like, oh, this is my favorite drink, or this is my favorite song, my favorite artist. So I would say the same thing goes for spiritual leaders. And it's because of the human component. I think the ego, it's something that we have to deal with in this dimension, and a lot of these people are just that, are just humans. So there are a lot of their spiritual past that I like, but then there's the ego component of their humanness, which they have all the right to have, but I might not align to that. So that's why I might not be able to name other spiritual leaders. Alan Watts, I do hear to some of the recordings that are available of him, um, and I love them, But at the same time, I feel as if we all have that free will to create our own North Star, so that I don't limit myself in just oh, I would just, follow or be aligned to these leaders? But that's a really good question because good modern leaders, I would say, are not that many. I know that you go online and you can see all of like thousands of people probably speaking about spirituality, healing, and the metaphysical. But I would say my inner compass tell me that only a few, are the ones that I am mostly interested in and that will actually help me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's, from what I can tell as well, as sort of how everybody's going, is kind of maybe more listening to what their own inner voice is telling them.
Mm-hmm.
Taking some advice from all these other sources and saying, oh, does this resonate? Does this not resonate? And try to sort that out for yourself. So yeah, I definitely think that's where everybody's headed. And I think that's very cool. So let's see. So when would you say you understood that you were a psychic? I it feels like a big question for some weird reason, but when did you're like, I'm psychic, or did you even put that
Yeah,
label on yourself ever?
yeah. For to some extent, saying it or hearing it sounds as coming out. I'm coming out as a psychic. But
Mm-hmm.
I would say I understood what being a psychic was for myself not too long ago, to be honest. Probably only about 5 years ago before I decided to move from Puerto Rico to Seattle. Although that's not to say that I really always knew that I was highly into this since I was a kid, because I would share, like I said, my experiences with my mom, and she will acknowledge them and also tell me her experiences as an also intuitive person. But I was never as familiar with the term or attached to the term until very recent, which is when I decided to study it in a more formal way because I have been studying the non-physical since I was a kid. I remember telling one of my mom's cousins, I think she asked me one day, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I told her, oh, I want to be a parapsychologist. And I said it with such freedom that now that I think, I'm like, that's a very interesting thing for a kid, one to know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
and two to say that wants to be when the kid grow up.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, you would say, or unique. Um, but the term psychic, yeah, I wasn't considering myself psychic until just very recent.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my life, I did tell my close friends like, "Oh, I'm such a weird person," or "Oh, I just know things." Or I would tell them about my experiences, whether they would believe me or not, or whether they agree or not. And I would use the word intuitive, that
Mm-hmm.
or intuition. But psychic seems to be a big word, and I would say I would love for it to stay always like a big word because I think there should be some respect behind these practices.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably you can tell from your own experiences, but when you ask the universe for more, the universe will send you more,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no limits other than our humanness. And to some extent, the word psychic is something that I will always have respect for. I would say the same way
Mm-hmm.
as I use the word spiritual. Um, yeah, yeah. Now you got me thinking. Now you're giving me homework
Oh,
on
good.
meditating around just the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of it's a big word, and I also think, at least from my own experience, there's some baggage around it in a way. Like
Yeah.
I think that's why folks tend to not, I'm more intuitive, or instead of kind of, maybe shying away from psychic. But I think that's changing because um people are being a little more open about what they're experiencing. So I feel like it's changing a little bit. Um
Mm,
so
that's good. That's good because in my case, it is somehow it is disconnected to the people's opinion or view,
mm-hmm.
but for some reason the word on itself feels powerful.
Yeah.
But I can see. Yeah, no, but that's good. And for everyone that's listening, I would say, um, embrace the word, embrace the word if you really consider yourself a psychic. And just show up for who you are. Sometimes I see people being very loud about how psychic they are. And I'm like, a true psychic usually doesn't make as much noise.
Hmm.
It's like when you get all these intuitive hits, they just come in a way that it's so subtle that if you're not intuitive, you will miss them.
Yeah.
And that's why the terms, I would say, it's so big. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So kind of along with sort of getting those intuitive hits, and I know some people may be familiar with like clairs, like the different clairs that somebody may have, which are the different ways of seeing or feeling like psychic information or hits.
Hmm.
How would you articulate it to somebody, well, to a lot of people who think they aren't experiencing it? How would you say it happens for you specifically?
Yeah. So what I always tell other people, because people have asked me, they see the confidence that I have whenever I speak about these topics, and I always tell them, do you remember that time when you met someone and you were, oh, I don't like this person, or you went, I love this person already. Like, just I think it's in those moments where you can start understanding what declares or what receiving psychic information is, because then it would only require some stillness in that moment and think, wait, why don't I like this person? Like, where is it in my body that I'm feeling it? Is it more a feeling? Is it more a sense? Is it more something that I am seeing? Because sometimes people are like, oh, but that's just because of stereotypes, how that person is walking or how that person is talking. And I would say look beyond that, because sometimes what seems common sense to you might end up not being so common. And I did find this I found this out very recent too, because I was taking for granted so many of my spiritual experiences only because I thought that most people were experiencing them because of the common sense. But it isn't until you start articulating what's going on with you, or how you know all the information that you're getting from spirit, when you go like, oh, this doesn't happen to you, and that's when you know that you are a little bit different. um but I would say everyone is psychic or intuitive to a certain extent. Our body, I will consider that is our biggest antenna, that receives all this information, and everyone has a body. So I would say it's just a matter of understanding how much noise people experience on a day to day, and then look for, like I would say, look for less noise. And I would say just sink in those feelings when you feel that something feels wrong or something feels right. Just keep asking those questions to yourself, because I believe people spend a lot of time in their head, which is usually what we psychic and intuitive do. But I think it's probably asking the wrong question. So I would say, just for the people that are listening, just sit with those moments and those feelings, and then ask yourself, what is it exactly that you're feeling, and where are you feeling it, and how does it feels, and how true to your heart it feels. Because sometimes and this happens a lot, where you can go like, oh, there's something about this that I don't like, but then give it 10 more minutes and suddenly you are best friend with that person. So I would say there's a blurry line between how much you can trust or how much certainty you can have, because it's just in the subtle signs where actually you can discover, whether you are having a spiritual experience or not. And the world itself, it's a spiritual experience on itself. So I think if you're having a crappy life, that will still be that spiritual experience. I think it's what you do with that, um, and where the potential lies.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of how you handle the information and what you do with it. Um, I guess something that you said that made me think about, so one of the things that made me aware was, and this is when in my corporate jobs, and I know you're familiar with that, but like in my corporate jobs, and then like there would be a meeting, or there would be like a big meeting, or somebody important would say something, and then I would turn to like my friend and I would say, did you not hear that? Like they said da 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 da. And then they were like, no, they didn't. And I was like, yes, they did. They said da 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 da. And so I was like, I said, you just need to listen between the words. Like you can hear what they're saying, and it's totally opposite of what is coming out of their mouth. And then they were like, what are you talking about? And
Yeah,
I was like,
it's hilarious. That's hilarious because I for the most part, I keep some of the information to myself when I receive it, especially in the corporate world. However, that's not to say that with just me being present and doing my work, people can actually tell because sometimes I just know something and I happen to write it somewhere or say it or even do a task that's aligned to what I know. And I've had peers that are close to me and they go like, wait, how do you know that? And I'm like, wait, was I not supposed to know that? Didn't you read it or didn't were you not there? It's kind of like, and suddenly I go down this rabbit hole where it's like, am I making it up? Like it didn't happen at all? Is it just me? Who knows? But it ended up being aligned to what the true story is, because in the corporate world, there's so much information that might not be available to everyone.
yeah.
But somehow you just happen to know more. But
Mhm.
yeah, I try not to be as um I try not to say a lot about what I'm receiving at the moment, but I do use it.
Mhm.
I guess um that's one of the good things about being a psychic in corporate, maybe, that you just know things and you can use it, or on your advantage in a good way, of course. It's
Mhm.
because it's a matter of how aligned you are to the work that you are supposed to do, and how productive you are.
Yeah.
So I guess it helps, but it does feels weird. Yeah, it's like other people are not aware, and you think that it's just common sense.
Mhm.
Um, or hey, do you know that there will be some like structure change in the organization?
Yeah.
And then they ask, how do you know that? And when I try to elaborate how, uh, they end up clueless. They end up, they still clueless because
Mhm.
I happen to not being able to be as elaborate about how I know that information.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'll just say that it has taken me a long time to learn that other people aren't getting the same type of information, because I just thought, oh, I just know it happens. I don't know. But the other thing too is like I would blurt it out, kind of like just, and then
Hmm.
I would just be known as kind of blunt, and blunt and
Hmm.
direct. Um, so I got a lot of that kind of feedback, but yeah, yeah, a lot of
feedback
learning.
feedback incorporate
Yeah,
is wonderful.
it is wonderful. Yeah. Um, well, cool. Thanks for going down that road with me. Talk a little bit about corporate jobs. Now this question's kind of similar to um the first question about your earliest spiritual
Mhm.
experience, I guess, but what's a more recent spiritual experience, or one that stands out for you uh beyond when you were a child, that you can recall?
Ah, hmm. So I have two spirits too, and I as a psychic, I think I know where you want to go with this question. So I will change a little bit, and I would say I wouldn't call this experience spiritual only because
Mm.
of the nature of it.
Hmm.
It's a little bit delicate, and I wouldn't
Hmm.
and I wouldn't consider it spiritual. However, it was indeed a psychic experience or an
Hmm.
experience that was out of this world, and this was actually the experience that made me seek professional training in being a psychic and giving to it a structure and understanding it more. Um, and it only happened probably no more than 4 years ago, I would say. And I was at an apartment complex here in Seattle, and I am with a friend of mine, and we are walking a hallway of where this friend used to live, and one of his neighbors comes out of his apartment, and I just look because I am a person that I just like to say hi and greet everyone. So I just turned and I was already biased to say hi. But when I look at the person, everything surrounding the person became black. And then my vision became like tunnel vision. And all that I felt close to my heart because it was around my chest area was fear. And the thing is that the person was not outside his apartment for a long time. The person literally came out of his apartment, stared at me, and then went inside. Literally, that's all that the person did. And it felt like a long time because of what I experienced, how my body felt and everything. And I looked to my friend, and the very first few words that came from my mouth were, "Hey, is that your neighbor? Be careful because this is not good. I am afraid. I feel a lot of fear when I look at this person." And my friend goes like, "Oh wow, I just don't know that person because that person almost never comes out of the apartment." And we left. So 2 weeks later, I see a missed call from this friend late at night. And I returned the call the next day. So I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And this friend asked me, "Hey, remember the guy that you told me to be careful about?" And I got a little bit scared because I was like, "Oh wait, did this person did something to you or something around those lines?" And my friend tells me, "No, I'm okay. It's that that person actually tried to unalive themselves. They jumped from the apartment complex building."
Wow.
And this friend, yeah, this friend was calling me out of fear because it all happened in front of his eyes because his patio was next to the patio of this neighbor. And it happened that when the person jumped from the building, the person survived, and there was just blood everywhere. And there was the police, and there was a lot of other things happening. And that for some reason that's been the one that I would say is the most recent, that stood out the most for me, and that made me seek more understanding about what is it that I feel, why is it that I am feeling it, and is there something there for me to do, or is it only for me to know? Like I became very confused. I became very conflicted because I was to some extent, wow, I was labeling this person as dangerous, whereas in that case, it's not that the person was dangerous. It was that the person was in a very low vibrational place. And I don't know the person, but let's just guess, probably depression or probably life events or situations. And not many people are talking about suicide out there. So it really hit me really strong because I would have hate to label the person as dangerous when they are just having a mental health issue. But I would say that was a really strong psychic hit that I just had for the probably not even 5 seconds that I look at the person. And I knew that something was wrong and I knew that something was happening. I just couldn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made me seek professional training and understanding. But and since then, to be honest, it's really like I am pretty well tuned up, meaning like I do understand now what is it that I feel, how does it feels when it's something not so positive. Is it regarding the person? Is it regarding the environment? Is it regarding myself? But that's one that really stood out the most for me, and that was very recent. Um, and just for the audience, not all spiritual experiences look and feel like that. That happened to be the one that that was like life changing for me.
Mm-hmm.
That made me seek, more understanding on this. But I do have other spiritual experiences, like an awakening that I had back in 2012 during a church event. Actually, it was during a youth retreat, and back then I was such an introverted person. I wouldn't talk to anyone that wouldn't be my best friends or my family, and I would walk like close to the walls at school. I will be a full nerd. I will be studying, and that was it. I will have no social life. And I remember being at this youth retreat, and at one of the sessions, I think we were praying or doing some sort of prayer in a room that, to me, by the way, any room that has spiritual leaders in it, like figures of Jesus, Buddha, all these god and goddesses, they for some reason it just feels so peaceful to me. So this place, this room felt peaceful where I was, and I was on the floor praying, and I just had like an awakening moment where it was kind of like turning on a switch, almost as if it turned on, and then God or spirit opened my brain and my level of awareness to, hey, you should start talking, you should start speaking up for yourself, because all of your thoughts, they are real, and you must listen to them, because you have a bigger purpose than the one that you think you have. And suddenly, for some reason, that was enough for me to gain the confidence in speaking up for myself, whether that came to speaking up for my ideas, for my views, or for to just say what I wanted, that I was not doing before. So I was missing probably 50% of the human experience, only by not being so aware of my potential. But it came up as an awakening during a Catholic church retreat, and it was really powerful but subtle at the same time. And I tell this to people because whenever people tell me that they like some argument against psychics or intuitive, or about how powerful we can be with all that we can tap into, I just laugh and I look at them and I say, you know what? Jesus and church, they were the ones who actually woke me up on this. They were the ones who actually guided me to this awareness that, knowing and intuition and spirit goes beyond just the church.
Mm-hmm.
And indeed, I even stopped going to church probably a year later. Just naturally, I just kept myself out of church only because I wanted to experience now new perspective, new environments. But I had some sort of an awakening during a church event. And that's the one that really helped me lower my guards and becoming more comfortable with who I was, and I became more extroverted, I would say, because then I was in so many projects back in college because of that.
So it sounded like I think you were saying there that some of the people maybe at your church were maybe talking about like negatively about psychic experiences, and then you were
Mm.
talking about how Jesus was basically
So
mystical.
so so
Yeah.
so so that's the thing. So it thankfully it did not happen during any of the church events that I
Mm.
went, or it just happens during casual conversations with people,
Oh, I see.
just on the, yeah, just on the normal basis. It's like I could be talking to friends or just to someone new that I've just met, and I just happen to say, hey, like, FYI, I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not religious, because people either ask for your job, or people ask if you go to church, or
Mm.
people ask if where are you from, that kind of questions, you know. So I always blurt out with the, oh, I'm on a spiritual journey, and they become very curious, but some people don't like what they hear, and they become very hesitant to accept what I'm saying. And I just look at them, and whenever they are people that go to church, I just laugh in a and not as making fun, but like of just for them to realize how ironic, because for them God is limiting somehow, but for me God is who actually woke me on, like, on understanding that we are all connected, and that God is more than just church or Jesus or just a particular religious practice. So it was a pretty interesting situation. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. So it's more like in just all conversations when that happens, and you're like,
Hmm.
that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, because literally all the like all the, if you're Catholic, all the saints, Jesus, Buddha, whoever, they're all having like weirdo experiences too, and like basically showing their mega psychic powers. So it is really
Yeah,
funny.
right on. Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but somehow people, somehow, and I don't like to blame. I do not like to blame people. I just
Hmm.
think that there is just not the right time probably
Yeah.
for them, and if it end up not being in this lifetime, well, see you in the next one. There are lessons that takes a long way to a long time to understand.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I guess I kind of have like a double question, but it's sort of, there's sort of questions within questions, but um
Go for it.
yeah, let's see
Let's
if
see
I
if my
can.
if my neurodivergent grabs both questions
Oh,
and is
okay.
able to answer them.
I think you kind of already said it, but like, what does your current spiritual practice look like? And if there's a path, like, and I know these labels are hard, but if there is a label to put on that path, like,
Mm,
what would you call it?
you know, it might sound not so magical, but to me it is magical. But what I would call or define it, my spiritual path, the current one, I would define it as the rediscovery of the self and the recovery of my sense of purpose.
Mhm.
That's how I would put it. I would say that's the current spiritual path where I consider that I'm at. And it does feels magical because as a person that I do have experience, um, I've been severely depressed, and I've been diagnosed with generalized anxiety, ADHD. You go through life with experiencing life to some extent, in a way that feels more like someone else is having the control. And it isn't until you understand that you actually fully have the control of your life, that's when you see the light kind of at the end of the tunnel. But as a person that have been depressed for on and off, for a while, um, I feel that now is where I could say I am rediscovering who I truly am, and I am recovering that sense of purpose that I lost while I was severely depressed and anxious. Um, and I just feel wonderful about that, because it's there was a moment where I will have all these highs and lows in ways that I wouldn't understand how to feel more certain when experiencing uncertainty. And now I'm in that place where I could experience uncertainty and I could experience a lot of things that might not be considered positive, but I still have the confidence that I am in full control of how I feel, how I am doing, and what I decide to do with my life. And no, I don't fall into, into a toxic positive mindset, because I think that would be the other extreme. But I do try to keep my inner being and my external environment as positive as possible. Um, I and I don't run away from problems. I do not run away from issues. So again, it's just it's a very interesting moment, I guess, that in my life, because I look at it and I have so many problems. I have so many issues, meaning probably at work, family issues, like just normal human stuff. But they are not bringing me down as much as they were in the past. And I feel that they are getting me closer to my sense of purpose, getting me closer to rediscovering who I am, because I've changed so much. And also they are helping me to tap into trauma from my childhood that I was not aware. And now they are coming to the surface, and they are just this type of information that they are so helpful to understand your own potential and who you can become. So I am right there in that path where I thought that I knew who I was. It happened that I didn't know exactly who I was. I still don't know who I am completely or fully, but I do feel more of myself, and I can now have more control of how my path goes and how my journey goes. However, how does that look 1, 2, 3 years from now? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beauty of being respectful, I would say, or being so interested in your own journey or in your own spiritual path, that you are somehow open to what spirit calls you to, or what your inner compass is pulling you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Not sure
Yeah.
if I answered both of your questions, but
I think I believe that you have. We'll call it. Yeah, yeah. I like the way your path goes, because I kind of like that it's ever changing, right? As when you get more information, you're like, oh, I gotta recalculate or whatever. To an
yeah,
extent.
and it is, I think something that I haven't mentioned is being present.
Mm,
Being present. Sometimes there is a fear that when you are being fully present and mindful, there is this FOMO, fear of missing out, or you
mm,
feel that you are somehow being irresponsible because you are not thinking about the past or the future. But it is the present moment, the one that allows you to continue moving forward, and the one that bring change into your life.
mm-hmm,
And it sounds very interesting, because when you think about it, it's like you think about the present as something that's linear, but then how is it that being present every single second takes you somewhere where that can be 180 degrees different to where you were a month, 12 months, 3 years ago. So
mm-hmm,
so so there's key there's a key to that, and I think it's I'm living more present, and I'm living more in my body, rather than just thinking about the what if,
mm.
or what, or all the cools or have or would. I don't know. Just it's just the present time and moment, the most spiritual one.
Mhm. How would you say that you experience the present moment or get into the state of like, I'm in the present moment? Like, how do you get there, I guess? Or what do you do?
Ah, that is a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is part of my current spiritual path, but it is also one of my daily practices. And one of the things that I try to do is ground myself. I try to ground myself, feel that I'm fully inside my body, that I am not up here in my head overthinking, or that I am not moving so much or speaking so fast or moving so little or speaking so little. So it is only when it feels comfortable and that I can hear what's going on around me. I can see what is happening just right in front of me, and I can smell what's going on. Um, it's only in those moments where I say, "Oh, I'm fully present." And in order to keep that present state, let's just call it, in order to keep that present state, because it's very easy to lose that moment. Um, that's where the daily practice of grounding and meditation comes to place, because then it becomes a habit and it becomes something that your subconscious already know about. So you are always, doing it as you are aware of other things and not necessarily thinking, I got to be present. I got to be present. I do indeed have to say that when I'm experiencing situations that are either life changing or that shakes my world in that moment, I would say then that in that moment I do have to remind myself, Jose, get back to your body. Jose, you have to be present. Jose, feel the floor, like feel like feel with your toes, and feel how your heart is pumping blood, because you need to be back into the present moment, because it's very easy, especially with the all the chaos out there, to live outside your body. It can be painful, because I think being present means that you have to hold yourself accountable for the present moment. You have to hold yourself accountable for situations that you cannot escape from, and also you have to become responsible for how you feel and all the emotions that are coming through when you are fully present. Um, and I think that's how I've only found grace, when I'm able to stay present and work through that discomfort, if it's discomfort what I'm experiencing in the present moment. That there's the blessings, right after that. It's again, it's just very interesting. It's very interesting because the present time, it's so it's an illusion, it's
Mm-hmm.
just like right now we've been like I'm fully present, but right now the time, it's passing right
Mm-hmm.
now. The season is changing right now. The sun is setting here right now. So it's kind of like it's very interesting. It's just a matter of trying to not miss from perspective who you are, I guess.
Yeah, that's
And by the
interesting.
way, this, by the way, I have to say, just for the listeners, they might be thinking, oh, this guy is going down the rabbit hole or he's jumping from one topic to the other. But speaking about all these topics, they actually get me in such a trance type
Mm-hmm.
of state
Yep.
that I can just keep going on and on, and sometimes it's new information that's coming through. But I guess those are the perks of being psychic, that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you get downloads
Yeah.
when you are not expecting them.
Yeah. And a lot of times when you're like talking to somebody or engaged in a conversation, there's like the other thing going on, like giving you're like, whoa, okay. Um,
Hmm.
that's fascinating. So the thing that you said, it was like making me think about the present moment, and the way I've at least experienced when I really know I'm like in it is when I'm actually really connected to the body or my body. And so you were
Hmm.
talking about that too, is like getting grounded and being in the body. And I think um that's where it comes. I think that's where it comes from, because I think a lot of people are, and me included, get inside the head of like, oh, the head needs to experience the present moment, but maybe it's not the head.
No, but and and it's again, it's just our human experience, the one that somehow dictates something different, and it's interesting because, and then you think, oh, so you're telling me that being human is opposite to being psychic, and no, it's not that. It's also that being human, because we have a brain, we've been taught so many things, we've been programmed with so many beliefs that they are so ingrained in our brains that they if you don't live in the present moment, they are the ones controlling you. They are the one moving the body, and they are the ones doing um things. But yeah, it's coming back into your body. Yeah, I think you said it. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
No, you said it. I was just like, oh yeah. I was just confirming that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my
no, but
experience.
this is what's very interesting, and now I'm going on another, on probably a different topic, but still somewhat related. My son's sign is a Virgo, and we are known for being very analytical, and for being very skeptic, and for being very structured and organized, and so very well connected to nature. But if you think about those concepts, when we are being too analytical, we are being pulled up outside our body, because we are in our brain thinking and thinking and thinking. And then you think about our connection to nature, which is the opposite. It's on the opposite end. It's that's the grounding. So it's that dance of what happens in between, and how balanced and how well calibrated you have it, what will allow you to stay present. But it's very easy to lose it. Again, I feel you. I do. It does happens to me, and I have to come back into my body many times during the day, especially when it is when they are days that there is so much more movement going on.
Yeah, that's a good, that's something I need to rethink about too, like grounding throughout the day, because I definitely don't do that. So good reminder. You kind of already mentioned sort of like spiritual books that you, or maybe even authors that you've read. Is there any current ones that you're interested in, or maybe not even spiritual? I know you're reading one about Leonardo da Vinci, I believe, that you're really hyped
Yeah,
about.
I think I did finish that book
Cool.
on the plane yesterday, actually. But yeah, that one is called How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci. Is by Michael J. Gelb. It is a quiet, I would say it's relatively old. I know that people think that the new is the actual information, it's like, oh no, it's what's new, what's relevant. But I would say this person actually decided to study the life of Leonardo da Vinci, and how he was able to be a genius, and to be a person that will use his whole brain, and not only hit the left hemisphere or the right hemisphere. So because he was an artist, but he was also a very well um scientist, and those are two things that people tend to separate in this world. And he was able to do all of them. And he excelled at all of them. And that book even takes you through a journey that is somewhat intuitive. The word intuitive also comes up in the book several times, even though the book is not about intuition. And it has helpful exercises that could help you in developing the clairs and grounding, which is very interesting again, because this book has nothing to do with being intuitive. But by following the practices in the book, you could get there. And I've used some of the exercises. I've used them at work meetings, just to open the meetings, and people have had a lot of fun with them. Yeah, it's very, so it's still very practical, but somewhat it takes you through places that your brain probably have never gone. So that's one. Thank you
Cool.
for bringing that one up
Hmm.
because I did not have that one written down here. But three books that I do keep very close to me. One is The Mind Control Method by Jose Silva. I surprisingly I was reading that book when I was probably in seventh or eighth grade. No one told me about it. Somehow I found it in the internet. I downloaded the PDF. I grew up at the same time that computers were being a thing and were new. So I was keeping up with technology back then. And I read the whole book and I did practice all of the exercises in the book. And Jose Silva is very well known because there's this school today called Mind Valley. So Mind Valley actually bought the latest edition of his teachings. And now they are proprietary of the actual Silva control method branding. But it all comes from Jose Silva. He was, I believe he was from Texas, I think, and he taught his children how to be psychics, and he taught his children how to manifest. He taught his children how to do remote viewing, and I was doing all of those exercises and studying them back when I was in school. And back then, I don't know, to some people that might have seemed as a waste of time, but to me, I was just calmly in my room, minding my own business, reading and practicing magic, I guess. um, Second book, The Wheels of Life by Anoria Judith. The Wheels of Life is about the chakras. If you want to learn about the chakras, that will be your go-to book because she studied from the foundation coming from Indian traditions and then the Western views. And she somehow finds that middle ground where the information is understandable for the Western world. Um, and it has really good exercises, very good insights. It does teach you so much about the chakras, the centers of energies of the body, and all of what they mean. It that one I have not finished reading it because of how much information there is. There's so much information in there. And then the fourth book is Psychic Witch. I think this one is modern, pretty modern, I would say, by Matt Oring. And this one can be your go-to if you don't know that you're a psychic and you would like to explore what being a psychic is. Even though the book has the word witch in it, I would say don't listeners don't get scared because I don't think there's anything witchy about this book other than just you trying to become more intuitive.
Hmm.
But that's a great, great book. It takes you through Matt's experiences by being a psychic. I believe in uh God. I think he lived where in a city that's very well known
Oh,
for the witches.
Salem. Yeah, he lives in
Yeah,
Salem,
he live in
Massachusetts.
Salem. But he speaks about his experiences, his practice, but then he also takes you from through all the clairs.
Hmm.
It's a pretty cool book.
Cool.
Yeah.
Question on the Wheels of Life. Um,
Hmm.
is the author going over the seven major chakras, or does she, or I think it's a she, but or do they go through the other chakras as well?
So she covered. So I would say she covers even different types of belief,
Mm,
meaning she covers the seven chakras. She also speaks about the secondary chakras, which includes the hands, the feet, but
cool.
she also explains how they all are connected and how the energy travels from the crown chakra to the root chakra
Hmm.
and in what shape and form and what directions. And
Cool.
she even places two different beliefs side to side, where one belief places the sacral chakra right at the base of our spine, and then the other belief system places the sacral chakra just in the way that you probably know, which is right under our belly button in the pelvis area.
Mm-hmm.
So she compares several different ways of seeing and understanding them. But ultimately, I think she navigates more towards the seven ones,
Mm-hmm.
and because those are the ones that have the major impacts, and that relates to what we eat, to what we listen to, and to how we go about everything in our life.
Well, thanks. Um, Definitely gonna get that book for sure. And probably
Yeah,
this
I
little
have it
book.
on paper copy. Well, I have it on paper copy. If
Mm-hmm.
I ever finish it, um, I can lend you the book. You can borrow it from me.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Yeah, send me a note.
So we're kind of getting toward the end here, but I guess something, I frame it around spiritual journey, but like, are there any sort of pitfalls or what do they call it? Pitfalls or maybe people to be aware of in your spiritual path? Um, just because I think that, it's something to talk about in this day and
Yeah,
age. Yeah.
yeah, I know. Isn't it everything all pink and beautiful in
Yeah.
the spiritual
Yeah,
journey?
there's no bad things. Yeah.
No, I would say there are some things that I would like to advise the listeners about, and very simple. If you do not know it, if you feel that you do not want to do it, um, I would say don't do it. Don't even think about it, and just even try to not know it. Um, and I will explain what that means in just a second. But there is a level of uncertainty that we have to be okay with, and to say yes when we are on the spiritual path. However, that doesn't mean or that give you the right to play with fire. And what I mean with that is just beware of what doors you decide to open. The spiritual world is right here. It's not too far. It's right here. It only requires doing some things or understanding some things to tap into it. And you could be opening the door to things that might not bring beautiful things to your life. I could speak about it from experience. Trying to learn more about spirits, I would say, trying to learn more about spirits, working with guides and all this stuff. That if you get to the wrong book or the wrong information, you might be tapping into beings that are not so high vibrational. So I would say again, if you do not know, just don't do it, don't say it, and don't even think about it. But it's a fun journey because I have a lot of fun with my angels and with my guides. And that's where I navigate more towards. But I also do know a thing or two about spirits. In a safe way. But I would say just beware of that. Yeah.
That is a good thing to keep in mind is to again listen to that intuition that's telling
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. Is there I say mantra or motto or some words that you might say to yourself to kind of keep you in a frame in a higher vibration or in a higher place that you look to or maybe even say to yourself?
Hmm. So there is not a particular one. However, I could tell you that on a daily basis, I do read some affirmations, and they all start with the words I feel. Not I am, but with the words I feel. And that's my daily reminder of I feel good, I feel positive, I feel flexible, strong, beautiful, confident. On a daily basis, I do go over those several times because we always need those reminders, and they are a grounding part of my day too. And then the other one is just be myself. I am constantly reminding myself, Jose, it is okay to take space. It is okay to be yourself. It is okay to be authentic, regardless, you know. And so I would say that those are things that I do remind myself every single day about. So I could say that might be my mantra or motto. I'll figure it out how to make out a sentence or two out of all that.
I like that. It's like
Yeah.
you start with I feel and then go from there, kind of. That's cool.
Yeah, that's how I start my day.
Mhm.
I have them in my phone. I have them written down next to my bed, and no kidding, as soon as I wake up, I pick the piece of paper and I start reading it. Even though I know them out of, I have them at the top of my head, but there's something about having them written down,
Mhm.
having them on paper. You know, it's like giving them more. You are bringing them more into the real world, to the
Right.
physical reality. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Um, so I guess what is your current area of focus that you either in a spiritually led way or that you want your life to go and be of service to people?
Blissful harmony and sorry, bliss, harmony, and authenticity. I think those three words would uh encompass where what I consider my areas of focus currently. One is that I'm trying to embody all that myself for myself in my own life, but it is because I have been able to probably tap into what I want my life to be, or what I want my life purpose to be, and is that I would like to give people their lives back. And all that I mean with that is that um people are operating on they are all on their on autopilot. People are feeling feelings that they shouldn't be feeling. People are having life that are not even their life, and I just feel deeply for everyone, and I feel that everyone needs their life back because um when I've done my spiritual readings and healings for others, for strangers, I have discovered that most people are stuck, and they are stuck in places that are of low vibration. They are stuck in places that are gone, that are very far in the past, and they don't even realize it. And I would love for everyone to experience the level of bliss, harmony, and authenticity that I am experiencing. Um, I want that for everyone, and I feel that I somehow could could be a change agent for people with my own skills, abilities, and my own life experiences. I believe that I could help others in that. I do want to still focus on readings and healings, but I think my purpose goes beyond that. I think I want to keep it more practical, and I want to give people the tools to be able to live their life free.
Wow, that sounds amazing and very helpful for people. So thank you for sharing. How do people reach you? What is your contact information if they'd like to learn more about what you do or learn more about you as a person?
Oh, interesting. I am a very interesting person. I have to say that just for
Hmm.
anyone that will visit my Instagram, beware. I, so you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is public. Um, and it is improve yourself, but I will spell it because it is spelled differently. My Instagram handle is IMPROV3, the number three, underscore yourself. YOURSELF. That's my own Instagram. That's the only Instagram I have at the moment. There's another Instagram on the works. But for sure this is the one where you can reach out for me. And then I do have also I'm developing a website, still under development. But it is called the High Portal. The website is thehighportal.square.site. That one only has my readings and healing services. Nothing else, still under development. And also my email, same as the website, thehighportal@gmail.com. I would still prefer for people to reach out on my Instagram. I'm there all the time. Very easy. Most people have an Instagram. Just say hi, um, and you'll see me. If you don't see my face, it's not me.
Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being on the show and sharing all of your wonderful experiences and advice for people. So thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jose.
Thank you for creating this safe space.
That was an interview with José Alicea, where we discussed his spiritual journey and his amazing experiences with the non-physical world. You can reach Jose on his Instagram @ImproveYourself. To learn more about the Casual Temple podcast, please visit our website, casualtemple.com. There's a Casual Temple YouTube channel, and you can follow me on Instagram with username @MarileeDuffy or @CasualTemple. Please be sure to leave a review and share this episode with the people in your life who would enjoy this content. Do check out the other episodes of the Casual Temple podcast on your preferred podcast app, and thank you so much for listening.